Hi, if you're new to my channel, this video by itself probably won't make a lot of sense. There's a lot of content I shared already on my channel before. It's not my preference to talk about me and my story, but as we found out in the past, it has reached the audience that it had to reach. And I'm first and foremost very grateful and really happy that it did, because sharing my experience and my story helped me a lot, and as far as I know, it helped at least a few people, and that's really the best balance life can offer. Um, Let me begin first with addressing a comment on one of my recent posts, or not so long ago. Um, from the point of me struggling and fighting for survival, basically. Um, at that point, there was a lot of people, strangers, and people from YouTube, people from all over the world, that helped me as much as they could. And the comment in itself touched me, not in a pleasant way. Uh, it was saying that something along the lines, you sufferers are never grateful for the help that you receive. And as far as I wasn't able to address individuals in this big picture, because at the end of the day there's many that helped in little pieces, and then some people who really provided a miracle in itself. So obviously the people who gave the most significant value, whether it was material or helping in other ways, supporting me through my journey, these were the people that obviously had the priority in receiving my gratitude. Now, having said that, I do believe that in more than a few videos, I keep repeating how grateful I am for all of my audience here, for everyone listening, watching, and especially the people who have supported me in any shape and form so far and continue to support me. I'm not here to get millions of subscribers or, for profit or something. Initially, I was already here to share my points of view around the world, the politics, the society, and the things that are going on around, touching us all, whether we like it or not, and discuss that with people. Because for me, even though I'm recording a video right now, I read every comment. I care about every person, even if they disagree with me and either attack my personality or my looks or whatever else is it that it bothers them. I care and I listen. Of course, I won't tolerate any nonsense. I won't tolerate any abuse. We can keep the banter. I don't care about vulgarity as long as it's backed up by an actual argument and something that I have to think about and have to reconsider. Then I'm happy. So the same about that comment that criticized my level of gratitude towards each and every one of you. Yeah, it was upsetting, but I'm not reacting with my emotions to it. I'm literally I don't even have to explain what's going on. I shared a piece of my very important story from a person that helped me long time in the past, and I could not reconnect with that person to repay. It still bugs me every single day. And I definitely pray and hope that I will be able to reconnect with that specific person and repay what I owe them. And it's not about the money, it's not about the debt or anything like it. At the end of the day, it's not also a big debt, it's very small. But it's about the principle and it's about the actions and reciprocity. That's what matters to me. If I can ever in my life do anything for anyone that has helped me at my worst through this channel, through my content, please, you can find my email address, or you can obviously just leave a comment and let me know. If you gave something to me, how can I give you something back? If that is what is really important to you, sure, let me know. I'll do it. Whenever I can, with whatever I can afford. So that being said, I was hoping for a response from the person making that comment. It didn't come. I'm not sure what's happening with them, but clearly, I wish you all well. That's pretty honest, sincere, out of my heart. I'm not offended, I'm not insulted by that comment. It was just, for the people like us that love to help, that love to give, and have received very little. It's pretty hypocritical, maybe. You have to look into yourself. Why did you help in the first place? If you expect something in return and you're helping only for those reasons, then I'm sorry. You might want to reconsider your options and choices. All right, so that's on the sense of gratitude. Whew. I am super happy, pleased, and satisfied to say that, ironically, with the support of the prosecutor's office and their agents in the Dutch system, I have finally managed to break through the other part of the system, which is social services and child protection, etc. As you all know, through my sharing, well, the ones that follow, of course, I've been through a lot with these people in the system, mainly due to the fact that there was a huge amount of deceit, gaslighting, manipulation going on. Now, where the source of all of this comes from, clearly it did come also from my own confusion, where I didn't know what I was dealing with, and I also questioned myself with regards whether I'm the abuser or the abused, or both. So, the recent development was really, in a sense, I can only say miraculous. One thing I can give myself the credit to is being transparent, being honest, having the integrity to also speak about my own mistakes and my past, openly, transparently, and everything else. Kind of lucky for me, even though it was really hard to deal with and process, was the fact that the Child Protective Services, at least one of their employees, clearly had something more personal to do with me and the way I respond or react to certain types of professional misconduct. Whether that is communication, like poorly written communication, in terms of language, grammar, or just comprehensiveness. Because at the end of the day, when people are working in such positions where it involves other human lives, their well-being, their mental health, and then also their children, I have no other reason but to demand utmost professionalism and efficiency and good conduct, because I'm the father and I care about my kids. So if these people are going to tell me that they are really good professionals and that what they're doing is really in the best interest of the kids, and what they're doing is really with best possible effort, so that I'm not talking about results, because results are always a very dynamic subject, but effort is what really counts. So this one person, in my opinion or my observation, had an issue with the fact that I responded to some of their behavior in a assertive manner and in a manner expressing my dissatisfaction with the fact that I feel disrespected and not treated fairly, especially when it comes to what I say, what I write, what I profess to people and confess to them, and then what actually ends up in the official documentation over and over again. The really luckiest part in all of this story is the fact that I was in this from the beginning of this year, when this whole conundrum actually started to escalate and continue to get convoluted and entangled with the Child Protective Services. I was escorted and supported pretty much almost at every meeting by none other than the parole officer assigned to the case that I had in the past, where I had to defend myself and I was falsely accused by the perpetrator himself of me being the aggressor and the attacker. Yes, my fault is I have used an imitation of a weapon that didn't intentionally look like a real weapon, but it was a non-lethal rubber bullet firing CO2 pistol. And I was arrested by a SWAT team, helicopter flying above my head, sniper rifles aiming in my head. So I think the experience in itself was pretty worthy of a movie scenario by itself. Luckily, this has brought me to a knowledge that not all of the Dutch people and not all of the Netherlands is so bad and so careless about other human lives, especially when it's not about another Dutch person or something like that. So the lawyer that I had was really doing great, even though the outcome could have been better. But at the end of the day, what the outcome led to was meeting this amazing person, a lady and pretty much an angel from my perspective, that even though she works in the prosecution and she has to deal with people who have criminal past, she instantly realized that I'm not the one that is the issue and the problem here. From the moment we met, she was sitting in the office for 2 hours together with me and the Child Protective Services, and pretty much very objectively observing, and I could definitely feel her analyzing every nuance of my body language and the way I speak and what I talk about. She asked a couple of questions, and then the people from the Child Protective Services left, and I had another hour of an appointment with her immediately after that. The first thing she said to me was like, "What a mess." And my head literally, my forehead and the head literally just flopped forward on the table, because I felt for once complete understanding, compassion, and empathy for what I was going through. And I honestly, still to this day, cannot believe it happened. The second time we met with this lady, I offered her a handshake. She looks at me and says, "What? No hug?" I was shocked. If it wasn't for her, I would have been stuck in the never-ending grinding wheel of this system that tends to ignore, whether it's a man or a woman. I've seen and heard stories now from both sides. Very often it's about disregarding, gaslighting the victims when the abusers have all the upper hands, and they get the support and they get whatnot. So finally, the person that was influenced by her own emotional reaction to my responses to their lack of professional conduct seems to have been removed herself from the case, and another one took over. Luckily, because the only thing I could hold on to, and the only person I could hold on to, was the credibility and my integrity supported by my parole officer, we could finally get those people to listen and to actually understand that I'm in no position whatsoever anymore to allow them for this to continue any much longer in the future. So the lucky part was, without actually any effort and having to do much, I've been able to pretty easily prove that their employees or the employee have been willingly twisting the information to the point where they themselves decided that my visits with the children have to be supervised, because they claim that on the past, in the recent meetings, there was an incident where the police was involved. When I finally asked for those records and evidence, so where they have the actual proof that the police was involved, they couldn't provide any. So what I could do is simply use the opportunity when they said, now we have to meet you with both parents and discuss the supervised visitations. This is where I could finally put my hands and the cards on the table, point right back at my ex and say, she didn't call the police. I don't know anything about the police. Where did that come from? So the challenge was set. In that room, that day, they at least verbally confirmed that I have the power to decide to literally walk out of the room and stop any collaboration and go straight back to the court, or we can still keep discussing, but at this point I'm only compromising as much as I want to and not going any further than that. So I did agree to a couple of supervised, maximum 2 supervised visits. The first one already happened. It was more of a test of the person that came to supervise me and their own alignment with the words, actions, and competence and professionalism as they claim it to be. It was a very disgraceful failure on their end. Having said that, I will have to see them again, which is probably going to be quite as amusing as the first meeting, but I just might not tolerate their own behavior the way I did on the first one. We will see about that anyway. Fact is, there's sometimes too many women with their own unresolved issues working in places where there is a question of mental health, relationship abuse, and children being involved in that. Way too many women who cannot or would not admit that a woman can be an abuser, then in that case also a woman is the one that has to be held accountable in the first place. I do know that my reactions at that time, with the knowledge and with the experience that I've had at that time, were bad. I never denied it, I never masked it up, and I never justified any of them. I've learned from it. Now I know that from this kind of environment, which is so toxic and so dangerous, emotionally unsafe, the best thing to do is just walk away and shut the door. That's it. Unfortunately, even in this recent, which was so unbelievable, that a person that was so deceitful, so manipulative, to a point where I can even say vicious, was still able to actually come clean about at least the key and the core amount of truth, saying, I was deceitful, I was the one, in front of these officials. It didn't fix much, but the fact that I was finally validated in front of them, that we finally could come to a real closure and end the continuous escalation left and right, treating me as a danger to my kids, when, for example, I've been pretty unhappy and, yeah, honestly triggered about the fact that on one occasion kids were brought to me on the back of a bicycle back rack, not a back seat, just a back rack. 3 children with no helmets. I'm not talking small children, with the smallest one being right at the back. How no police officer and no one else did not see that as a problem is still a complete mystery to me. Because these people keep claiming it's about child safety and endangerment and all this stuff. Well, then we're taking this concept and context into a pretty holistic picture, because for me, in that sense, every detail is extremely important. If we're going to build trust, build a co-parenting, safe and secure style of the dynamic here, then we all must be able to also talk about the things we are doing wrong. All of us. I still swear, not in front of the kids with that intention. I still have my, I will say, personality traits that would be undesirable in the society that is predominantly fake. My most undesirable trait is that I'm being very honest with people. Not necessarily unkind, I'm not, but I also do not use kindness and being nice and polite as my strategy. I treat people exactly with how they treat me. In a sense that whoever has really crossed my path and physically attacked me, forced me into defending and protecting myself, to use physical force against them, that in itself is self-explanatory. It's called self-defense. If people keep using the system, their power within the system, to continue to project their own narratives, agendas, and completely omit all facts and truths, even though it's all out plain in the open for them, it's called also manipulation. It's called also something that's borderline criminal. And I called it out. People have a problem with that. People have a problem with listening to the truth. But at the end of the day, the truth is not what you can manipulate. Facts is not something you can just change. Even with me being completely gone away, things are still gonna stay there. And when somebody starts to look and dig into it, they're gonna find discrepancies between what other people say about me and what really happened. Because that is the legacy that I left behind. I have done things that no one can erase. The only way you can erase them is by shutting down the whole internet and pretty much wiping everyone that really knows me for many years. So the catch is, I have finally gotten my peace, my truth being validated. Not that I need to be right, but I just need people to stop using everything that is untrue to paint a picture about me that is wrong. And finally I've got that. I'm happy, I'm relieved, I'm peaceful. Took me a while to update and focus on what's going on and what I want to say, because a bit more than a month ago I was literally surprised by the universe and everything itself, how the life works in mysterious ways, and finally got right amount of help to get everything I really wanted and needed to finally start building and rebuilding my life for myself. Because clearly the people that should have helped, the people that should take accountability for themselves, were not going to do that. People that were promising to help were not going to do that. Ultimately, it came down to most strange and weird combinations, and the kind of people you would least expect in the places you would least expect that came and showed up. And the best part of it is like they're showing me how simple it is. It's simple. It seems like a small act of compassion and kindness, but it saves lives. It changes lives. It allowed me to finally really open up and start having fun and enjoying myself again. I mean, the freedom you get by finally being heard and seen by at least one person is just priceless. So it does surprise me how these people, the bullies, the abusers, the scammers, liars, deceivers, hypocrites, all these personality B types can't figure it out. Because when I look at myself in the past, you could have probably thrown a bunch of those labels at my face, and I wouldn't even disagree. We're all a mess. Every single one of us falls in the spectrum one way or another. To introspect, to learn, to question your own beliefs, to grow from what you've learned, to sit in discomfort, listen to other people what they've got to say, when they're saying it with the argument for the sake of solution. It's growth. And it's empowering. Yesterday, I was involved in the part of the discussion with my ex. It's about repairing the emotional damage that is being done. And then also clarifying the inconsistencies in what is still being done and being said at the moment in real time. And when I give this person and such people a space, time, and opportunity to speak and tell me when they say they have good reasons why they discarded and abandoned me and hurt me, and they begin with saying, I did this because I can't trust you, it's still valid emotion. I don't deny that. But why can you not trust me? Why did you fear me? An open person, honest person, doing and trying with their best ability and the knowledge at hand to give you safe space, to provide you a home, to give you a hug when you need one, to give you support and emotional push, whatever it is. That's basically what best friends do. We're here for you, but we also call you on your bullshit. And for someone who pretty much blindly trusted in people, believed that they have the qualities they say they have, gave them an opportunity to show that what they say, what they think, and what they feel is also what they intend and what they want to do, and what they're doing. Every single chance, millions of chances, and they still decide to show up and begin naming a trust as a good reason to tell me that this is why I am unworthy of their own presence in my life, or vice versa. It's some of the most toxic pile of bullshit I've ever heard in my life. And it surprises me that people, such people, even when they get caught red-handed, proven over and over again, and they finally even admit in the most important part of office and service that they are the problem, but then a few days later, again the same old story continues. I don't know what mirror, what recordings, and what else is needed for anyone like that. But I simply know that with even best intentions and best effort, and with all sincerity, you can't be nice to these people anymore. And I'm not saying don't be. Don't judge. Don't push them. They are in pain already enough by themselves. But still, it does not mean you can't tell them to get the F out. It doesn't mean that you need to allow them to minimize you and your experience and your worth just so they can feel better about themselves. Call them out for what it is. Call out their bullshit. Call out their actions. And if they can't take it, they were never the right person for you. It's not about what they do. It's just whether someone is the right person for you or not. Matching your own energy is really not hard. Matching my energy may be a little bit more challenging because of my uniqueness, sensitivity, and because of my experience in life. But at the end of the day, it's pretty simple. We all want the same. We all want to be seen, heard, feeling safe, build trust, friendship, lasting partnership. We all know it's never perfect. Feelings themselves are really temporary. Choosing to love a person because of their actions and their qualities is every day. And yes, some people, even through the years, and with all of their best and nicest words, do not go far enough with their own actions to do what they say, to meet their own expectations and standards that they set for themselves. It's a sad world out there. You look at it, what's going on right now. Religious warfare in UK. Political warfare in United States. Europe is falling apart because all borders are open, but people don't know what to do with each other. Divide and conquer. The one part I'm maybe proud of is Nepalese society. They had massive riots, but quite quickly everything turned out better for them. They changed the government, they are happier, they are meeting their demands. And funny enough, it was more or less Gen Z involved, and it wasn't because of the ban of the social media. If you look a really important YouTube channel, We Hate the Cold, it's called. It's gonna show you the real picture. The guy, rightfully so, got about 500,000 new followers within a week because of what he was reporting. Why I'm calling this out? The media, the news on the internet, everything you see is, and this surrounding you is playing on your emotions. If you stay true to yourself, you start seeing a different picture, a bigger picture. You start see the discrepancy between what people say and what the governments do. We live governed by sociopathic, egotistical people who don't care what happens to others. They only care about two things: power and control. The people behind them the investors. They could be the greatest and the best possible people, emotionally healthy and everything, with families and kids, believing in God and whatnot. But because they are so emotionally detached from their money and what they do with their money, they don't see, if they invest in a company like Amazon, where the damage is being done and how much of it. Whether it's pollution, whether it's exploiting people at work, whether it's something far worse. We don't get the whole picture at all. But all of the humanity is being blindsided and gaslit by the system on the top. The worst part is that large majority of people is still just gaslighting themselves. In order for every individual to come out victorious for themselves and successful for themselves in their own story and in their own reality, it is imperative to build a really healthy and a strong relationship with yourself first. And what is that? Complete honesty with yourself. Being able to trust yourself in any possible situation, that you know exactly what you're going to do. And if you don't know it, you do actually know that your inspiration and your intuition will guide you to the point of where you will come on top. We're powerful creatures. Intelligent, adaptable. We can survive and adapt to the extremes in a really quick time. Our bodies don't even need to physically evolve to adapt to all sorts of possible different situations and extremes. And yet, people choose to sit on their little butt, whine and cry about, most often than not, what is done to them when they're actually doing the same or even worse to others. Hypocrites with double standards. No one should tolerate that. And it doesn't matter. Police, social services, child protective services, politics, religion, your friends, your parents, your sisters, your spouse, even your kids. Anyone caught lying to your face should bear the consequences you've got set for them. Just as long as it's not responding or reacting with unnecessary amount of violence or abuse. I'm not saying don't call them an idiot, because that is what they are. They're an idiot. Everything is right in front of their face. They still choose to deny it and gaslight it. They're an idiot, by definition. And if they don't like hearing those words, truth hurts. It doesn't have to, but it does. It hurts the people who are in conflict with their own truth the most. It's impossible to make peace with people who are at war with themselves. Not because we wouldn't like to, but because they don't like it themselves. They feed and strive on conflict, attention-seeking, and drama. And when it's finally hitting them to the point where they cannot handle even that, what they like the most, that's when they start deflecting, being defensive, and guilt-tripping people over. Idiot. Simple as that. So, at the end of the day, my life is changing around. I'm definitely gonna be able to focus more on the things that I really want to do, share with others, talk about with others. There's a lot going on recently. The death of Charlie Kirk. There was a teenager who ended his own life with the assistance of the ChatGPT. I see two different perspectives here, at least. It's about parenting, and then it's the other one, it's about the potential and what is realistically possible about safeguarding these mechanisms and how to actually safeguard them. Do we safeguard the technology, or do we actually start safeguarding the people who are vulnerable? That is an important question. Probably both. Politics in all sorts of countries religious conflicts. There's a lot of other things I have up here, in here, and I'm happy that my mind is finally clear. Clear of the dark clouds, clear of the people who have the authority but are powerless because they do not respect the truth and don't know how to professionally conduct themselves and really investigate facts from bullshit. I'm happy I'm free. Freedom came with a huge cost, but in the end, most of it was worth it. Most of it. What wasn't worth it is seeing the person that I sincerely still love the most keep flipping backwards over like a tumbleweed whenever there's a bit of wind going opposite in their direction. It's always taking the easy way out. I've finally learned that I truly deserve better and that I'm worth exactly what I know that I'm worth. So the best closure of this all is, as much as I didn't want it, I was right. As much as I didn't like it, I was right. Did I look for that validation? No. Did I need it? Yes. Did it help? Enough. What's next? Well, we will see. Ultimately, that's always up to each and every individual. And now, for the last, thank you all for sticking with me, believing in me, supporting me in any shape and form. I hope you stay with me through the rest of the journey, my rants, my stories and experiences. And I promise you, there's a lot more cool stuff to come, because this is ultimately final chapter in the life that I did have, and the personality that I thought that I was because of my trauma responses and my identification with those. It's an interesting subject. Psychology and experts in the psychiatry predominantly, as much as they have a lot of problems within their own profession themselves, when you learn how to look at things really objectively and from different perspectives, it is a really, really helpful way to understand and be able to connect with your own emotions and express yourself, so that you can establish your own peace, your own ground, your own boundaries. Because when you're clear about what you want and what you don't want, it's much easier to actually be able to do that. So it helps to learn and to study. Even if you don't think you're competent, that's another self-limiting belief you should not allow to take it over. Just open something, read about it. Find a video, watch it. Find a podcast, listen to it. Whichever is more appealing to you. We're different types of learning. Some prefer to read, some prefer to watch, and some prefer to listen. Some prefer to just do. Either way, you could be a mix also. It doesn't really matter. Don't get hung up on things that just you believe you can or can't do. Try yourself out. Experience counts a lot more than opinions. And opinions are often based on the things we don't know, we haven't tried, we haven't experienced. Experience is always the key to your own growth and your own learning. Reading alone helps to understand, but theory over practice does not help. That's why a lot of experts also are failing. They have cognitively studied vast amounts of subjects. What they lack is their personal experience with it. That's why they can't connect, and they cannot distance themselves from their own projections about the people. We all project. This is impossible not to. But in order to overcome your own projections, there is a skill that people can learn if they're not born with it. And that is seeing things from perspectives. Multiple at once. That's a skill. Seeing things from a different perspective is an empathetic talent. Some people might really be born or later neurologically conditioned to not feel empathy or be empaths only on the cognitive level, but empathy really comes from the physical feeling. And there's the difference about that. Having said that, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for supporting me. I really wish each and every one of you best in your life, because there is no words to say how much it means that I'm still here. And I am here because of many of you. Love you all. Peace.